At first, Alan, when he was a little boy, was someone that everyone admired, especially his father. However, things started to get rough for him when he wasn't able to level up, and the fact that his little brother surpassed him. From then on, he was labeled as failure. He became undeserving of attention and care from his father, to the point that he got banished from their house. Little did anyone know, Alan's true identity was anything but ordinary. In a past life, he was a powerful hero, and now he carries all the memories and abilities from that heroic journey. Despite the harsh rejection from his family, being expelled was, in fact, a blessing in disguise for him, because finally he was free from that house. He can do whatever he wants. So, with nothing but his old sword, Alan sets out to live a peaceful, slow life on his own terms. All he wants is to relax and enjoy this new world, yet destiny seems to have other plans. While wandering, Alan stumbles upon his former fiancée, sitting helplessly on the ground as her lady knight struggles against a fierce beast. Instinct kicks in, and Alan rushes to their aid, wielding his old sword with the power and precision of his former heroic self. This unexpected rescue was the key to the beginning of their journey together. It seems like fate was telling him that this was the peace he was craving for, a journey filled with new allies, lurking enemies, and hungry beasts, but with these people he cared about. The memory of when he was still a hero kept lingering in his mind. He was thinking about his plans the next time he will be reincarnated when someone called him, and he snapped back to life. The man seemed like he didn't have a good breakfast because of how grumpy he is, calling Alan a failure before conveying the message that their father is calling for him. The door swung open, and their father must have the same food, with his brother calling Alan impudent and foolish. Much to Alan's dread, their father declared that he would be banished from the house of Duke Vestfeld. Alan replied that he understood his decision and turned his back to leave. Long ago, Alan used to be a hero, but now he is the son of such a mansion. However, he became a failure. Alan is what they called the Reincarnator. In his previous life, what awaited him was dreadful gazes from the people he saved. Not just that, even though he saved the world and became a hero, he was pursued by assassins and had to spend his entire life living on the edge. Because his power was bestowed upon by the goddess, he thought it was reasonable for humans not to comprehend. Tired of living with them, he decided to leave that world. He wanted to be reincarnated, start his life over from scratch, and live peacefully. His wish was granted, but it's yet far too close from being peaceful. He could not help but think if this was some kind of karma for him to be reincarnated into this ducal house. Before he knew it, he was highly praised as a prodigy. When his stats were appraised at the age of 5, he was already at level 1 and had 5 points in all of his stats. People with 5 points in even one of their stats on the coming of age are considered genius, and they get the treatment of a prodigy. However, that was the story until he became 10 years old. Since then, his level hasn't gone up, and his little brother reached level 2 before him. Because of that, from being treated like a prodigy, he was treated as a failure by his father, and was despised by his little brother. The blessing ceremony where one receives a gift once they become an adult, which can even turn the status's gap. God's gift is suitable for anyone, no matter who they are. However, in his case, no gift was given to him. Thus, he who became worthless finally got banished. Looking back at it, he thinks that he in this world is also quite the failure, but on the bright side, he is finally free. He could move into a remote region and live leisurely. He was thinking about all of these when he heard something. His eyes widened when he saw a familiar face. It was Beatrice. Beatrice was having trouble fighting the monster. She knew that this is not an opponent she could possibly take on. Even if she keeps using the same attack, the result won't change because no matter how many times she cuts it, it keeps regenerating. She started to fear for Liz's welfare, but to lose her is unacceptable, so she kept fighting. The monster changed its position. Beatrice thought that it's going for Liz, but it was actually aiming for her. The monster formed a ball of saliva, and it easily melted Beatrice's mithril shield. She was surprised because this shield was given to her by the king. Not just that, the attack made a hole on her waist, making her fall from great heights. Meanwhile, Liz knew that Beatrice wanted her to stay alive, even if it's by herself. However, that monster is not any opponent she can defeat herself. The sword clashes have stopped. She realized that the monster will be there soon. Even then, she wanted to think of a way to survive. Funny how she remembered her encounter with her fiancé. She remembered how he told her that he will be in her care. At that moment, little Alan was all that she could think about, even though he was already right in front of her. Liz asked Alan why he was there, but Alan said that they shall talk about the details later. Meanwhile, Beatrice saw that the monster started to fall. She wondered if it could withstand another attack. It might be difficult for her with this massive wound, but she can't afford to go down in vain. Her eyes widened when Alan swiftly passed by her. As he thought, this monster really has a core. He didn't want to use this, but it seems like it can't be helped. The power he obtained from his previous life, he believes that this is the precise moment to use it. He attacked the monster on its core, making it fall on the ground. Beatrice called Alan. Alan asked her to drop the honorifics and said that she needs to be healed. Beatrice had doubts if this kind of wound can still be healed, but Alan used his magic healing light to make it possible. Beatrice checked her waist, and the wound completely disappeared. Even her clothes are back to their original state. According to Liz, it is said that there is no power that can heal wounds, but as expected of Alan, he can really do unexpected things. Alan laughed a bit before revealing that he got kicked out of the Duke's house. The two were completely surprised by the sudden news. Beatrice could not believe that those extremely status-oriented people would do such a thing. Liz, on the other hand, as his former fiancé, asked if she can do anything to help. Alan said that she is no longer his fiancé, so there's no need to be worried. Beatrice asked for his plan from here on. Alan had no idea, so Beatrice took the opportunity to offer that he will become Liz's escort. Alan remembered how Liz stepped up for him back then, believing that he is not a failure but a splendid person. Then, he agreed. 1 week later, Alan and the two girls are in a village of a remote region. Alan was facing Akira Kazuragi. She claimed to be the hero of this generation. Aside from that, she apologized beforehand. She said that she will go easy on Alan, but she might go overboard a bit. Swooshing her sword in the air, she asked Alan to fight her. A knight was on his knees as he trembled from fear. He tried to defend himself, apologizing and saying that that was what alchemist Dono had said. However, he was bound to pay with his life. The man behind the shadows talked and said that he must not panic. He just needs to play his next card. Meanwhile, the three were on the carriage and Alan finished narrating how he was banished. He again apologized for the sudden revelation. Beatrice then asked about his gift, the power Alan used to heal her wound. No matter how much she thought about it, it was impossible, even with the use of potions, to be done. She believes that it shouldn't be possible to heal wounds to that extent. As Liz has thought, Alan's gift is rank 6, Archbishop's gift is ranked 5. Almost nobody has a gift ranked higher than that. Currently, gifts above ranked 5 cannot be recognized. That is why the Archbishop couldn't discern the gift that Alan holds. Alan was just listening to Liz, his face holding so much confusion. He doesn't know if the lady is sharp or airheaded. He then asked if the two were fine with this, knowing how useful his power is. He was deliberating if they are fine traveling with a person like him. Beatrice thought that for the sake of the country, she should bring him back to that house. However, Liz had other ideas. More than the country, she wanted to prioritize her friends, although she might be disqualified as a royal family for this. Even then, she thinks it's wrong to build a country by sacrificing someone. Alan was surprised with this. He flashed on his bright smile and thanked the two. Alan then said that since they are all friends, they should drop the honorifics and just call him by his name instead. He said that he doesn't mind being called without honorifics. Liz said that it's unfair. If he's doing it, then she wanted Beatrice to call her without honorifics too. A knight calling her master without honorifics is absurd for Beatrice. Dropping the polite language is already too much for her. Their conversation was cut off when the driver announced that they would soon be reaching the village. They thanked the man for letting them go with him. The man said that there's no need for that, since he's also going the same way. Since Liz and Beatrice joined him, it took them approximately 10 days to arrive. However, the place was so quiet that they started to wonder if no one lives here. There's no sign of people, and rather than a village, it seems more like a settlement. All of a sudden, they heard a commotion from afar. Alan soon realized that the village was empty because the people are gathering here. A girl plopped and rolled on the ground. She quickly got up and dusted herself. She then noticed the three from the crowd, especially Liz. Alan seemed to notice, so he asked Liz if they knew each other. In return, Liz asked if he knew about the gift Braver. Every era, one person receives a special gift. The strongest gift akin to the war power of the great warrior. The person who holds that power is called hero. Liz revealed that she came to this village after receiving this revelation. Become the mark of light and drive away the darkness. She finally understood what it meant. That is to drive away the darkness. The power of a hero. The two seemed lost and asked Liz to explain it a bit further. Liz pointed to the girl and said that she is Akira Kazuragi, the hero of this era. Alan concluded that there is some kind of trouble and she needs a hero's help. Alan and Beatrice introduced themselves. They asked Akira what was causing the commotion happening earlier. They thought it would be easier to hear it directly from her, because it seems like the villagers won't say a single thing. Akira asked if they would lend a hand if she told them about it. However, they said that it depends on what she has to say. Akira could not help but say that these three are a bunch of weirdos. They're going to listen to some stranger's story just because the revelation told them to. If that's not weird, then she doesn't know what is. She said she'll talk, but under one condition. She knew that Alan is not just a normal person, so she wanted to have a quick match with him. Akira drew her sword and pointed it to Alan dangerously. People started to move back when they saw what was about to happen. It's good to be confident, Alan said, but he advised Akira to watch her step. Akira told him that he surely has a big mouth before jumping on Alan. However, much to her dismay, she ended up being thrown on the ground like a feather. Liz could not help but express her confusion that she had to ask Beatrice if these happenings have sense at all. Braver is one of the hereditary gifts. Among the 5 that presently exist, it is supposedly the most balanced type, especially that the one who bears it is Akira. She is said to be just one step behind the strongest knight commander in the kingdom, and that was 2 years ago. The two could not help but wonder who exactly Alan is to overpower Akira, and why would Vestfeld have to kick out such a talent. Alan asked Akira if she still would like to continue. This is the 9th time, and yet in the end, this is just a spar for Alan. She wanted to know the strength Alan has, so she kept going until the 10th time. She looked back and warned the other to get away from the place, because it'll get dangerous. Thunder started forming on Akira's hand. Meanwhile, Alan was casually standing from afar, much to Akira's dismay. Even that didn't work, so she asked Alan if he was some sort of a monster or something. Alan found her attack rude. He said that if he got hit directly by that, even he would get hurt. Akira replied that normally, he wouldn't be able to evade that attack. Alan said that he only used a little cheat beat, but that proves how strong she is. Alan then asked if it is fine to say that he passed. Akira replied with a smile that if he didn't, then she would have to resign from being a hero. She then agreed to tell everything. While munching on her bread, Akira told them that she got kicked out by the village chief when she asked for more details. What she knows is apparently that thing has been there for quite some time. She then pointed at the mountain from afar. The monster that lives there is unfortunately a dragon. Everyone was shocked by the sudden revelation. Alan said that a dragon, unlike monsters, it's an existence that is capable of communication. As far as they can see, this neighborhood has no measures against monsters, so it will be really dangerous. Liz had the idea to talk to the villagers first, and so they did. But the villagers turned them away. Also, all shops are closed, and it's impossible to get materials. If that's the case, Alan has a hunch about that. Alan then asked Akira how she knew about the dragon. This little girl came to mind. She looked so dirty, and apparently she ran away from where she lives. The little girl is keeping her mouth shut, but if they wanted to talk to the village people in detail, she might come in handy. Hearing about this, Liz concluded that the dragon is threatening the people. Alan disagreed. He thinks that the humans are the ones who started it. Maybe this village was created by the dragon, Alan thinks. That house is the house that warriors doubt. It's more likely that they are demanding scales, blood, or things that they can only get from a dragon. Because of that, it's impossible for that house to strengthen its power. An idea popped into Liz's mind about the house Alan was talking about, but the young man quickly dismissed it, saying that it was just a guess. Akira was asked for help to defeat the dragon. In that case, they will be helping as well. Akira was in doubt at first if it was really okay for them to help her, but soon they all came to terms. Alan turned to Liz. Liz told him that she just can't stand waiting here. She believes that something's wrong here, more than anything. She said that she's going because she wanted to, and promised the group that she won't be a burden to them. In that case, Beatrice also volunteered to come. Alan agreed, but under one condition. Liz must not act harshly. If she thinks it's a drag, she doesn't have to force herself. Akira said that somehow or another, she thought it was Alan who was pulling aside. Beatrice commented that Alan is pretty sweet. Akira asked Beatrice if they were a thing, but Beatrice subtly dismissed it, saying that there are various things. Alan noticed them, and said that they were noisy, but also noticed how cheerful Akira was. Then, Akira initiated the strategy meeting. She'll go to the top from using the paved road, while Alan and others will go from the backside. The plan caught Liz's attention. Alan talked and said that if it's for diversion, it will be better if he does it. Also, Liz thinks that it will be dangerous going alone. However, Akira refused. She said that if they leave it to Alan, it seems that everything will be cleared up by himself. Akira said that she's also a hero. Alan should not go doing all the cool things all by himself. Alan smiled and agreed. They all gritted their teeth when they saw what was in front. They already expected this, but didn't want it to actually happen. Indeed, it's not just humans who want dragons' protection, but this was just the right time. Before fighting the dragon, it will be a nice warm-up. Meanwhile, Akira was already facing the dragon. The dragon did not waste any more breath and started attacking Akira. Although it was to be expected, Akira thought it was too early. Plus, she sensed that something's wrong here. The dragon was pretty powerful, but she couldn't run away because she made a promise to that kid. Once again, she tried to use her thunder magic. However, the dragon interrupted, asking if she really is sure of using that magic, and asked Akira if she could get that kid involved too. The little kid Akira picked up came into view. The little girl was bathing in her own blood. Akira was more than angry with this and vowed to kill the dragon. The dragon taunted Akira. A long time ago, Akira was told not to use this power she was about to release. They said that it was a skill that is overly powerful and does not fit a braver. It's not that it has nothing to do with that girl, but it was only because she begged Akira to save her. But that alone is a good enough reason to kill this dragon. And so, she released her black blade of destruction. But as she had expected, that alone couldn't finish the dragon off. The dragon was pissed, and to him, Akira wasn't aware of this grave battle that could end her life. He thinks Akira is taking this as a game. Akira, on the other hand, was disappointed to see that the dragon did not sustain any injuries. She wanted to kill it, yes, while she knew that there's going to be a difference in power, but for the difference to be like this, she felt the need to warn Alan how dangerous this dragon is. Akira dared to ask a question. The dragon could kill that little girl from the very beginning and not let her escape, but the dragon did. The dragon laughed hilariously. He said that he really allowed the little girl to escape. For someone like him that can live on for eternity, there is nothing more bothersome than boredom. So he thought of things that would occur if he allowed the sacrifice to escape. Although it was just a passing thought, it produced a great result. To seek aid to defeat him made him laugh uncontrollably. He said that bravery is just something that had appeared 1,000 years ago. To think that she thought she could defeat him pissed him off. He wanted her to learn her place. Akira was angry and brought up her holy sword. She said that if he wanted to beg for forgiveness, he can only do it now. But even if he does that, she thinks she won't be able to forgive him at all. She held her sword and formed her demon bane's azure lightning with it, before going for a strike. She thought she made an impact, but her eyes widened to see that the dragon was still alive. The dragon returned the attack, and she ended up kissing the ground with a big collision. The dragon told her that all she has is the strength and the spirit. With only this level of power, a braver is but a mere farce. Meanwhile, Akira could not do anything. She can't lift her fingers, nor make a little sound. She was just there, lying on the ground with blood draining out of her body. She thought it was the end. The dragon was about to strike her one more time when some things happened. Alan showed up. He mocked the dragon, saying that he seemingly spoke highly of himself. He hoped that all he has isn't mere strength of spirit too. Once again, Alan aimed for the dragon with his great blade of demon slaying. The dragon could not believe that it was possible for Alan to wound his body. With his sight, Alan was able to see that this dragon's level is 52, a forbidden level held by the strong in this world. While the difference in level shows only despair, World End can easily remove this obstacle. To tell the truth, he doesn't have any experience fighting against a dragon. Alan feels a little bit uneasy having to slay one, but thanks to Akira, he has been able to collect the dragon information. Akira puts her life on the line to give him the time to observe the dragon. Alan replied and said to the dragon, maybe it's just purely because he holds less power than he does. He told the dragon to use his own body to understand the foolishness of his actions. The dragon told him to come if he's not afraid to involve the others in this. Alan stopped for a while when he saw how the girls were looking at him. Their looks bear confidence on him. Ever since he has been called a failure, he has never seen someone look at him like that. This is also different from how people viewed him before his reincarnation. Alan became confident and charged from the front. He used his limit break flash. The dragon thought these things should be impossible to happen to him, but it did. Alan won, but because of exhaustion, his body collapsed on the floor. The first thing that Alan saw when he opened his eyes was Liz worrying about him. He immediately asked about the little girl. He was surprised to see the child alive and safe with Akira. He had his suspicious look at first, but then he was just glad that everyone was safe. Even Akira has completely recovered, and she was grateful for whoever did that. Alan asked for her plans. Akira replied that she will keep traveling with the child for a while, since there's no place for her to stay in the village. It was Akira's turn to ask Alan for his plans. The young man said that he will continue to escort Liz. Akira was in doubt that he would be able to do that effectively with his broken sword. Alan said that he will make a new one. Nevertheless, the two were hopeful that they will meet each other again in the future. They shook hands as they said their goodbyes. Akira thanked him for always taking care of her. After all, she said that she was a failure as a hero. Alan disagreed and said that the reason he was able to defeat the dragon was because she fought it first. And the most important thing is she is the sole hero for this child. Liz asked if she's going back to the village with the child. She has no idea what will happen, even if she told them that they have defeated the dragon. But she has the obligation to report what happened. Liz asked her to tell the villagers that it's not bad. Also, she thinks that Akira can probably continue living as before. Then, they parted ways. Akira and the child went back to the village while Alan and the two girls headed to the next place. Liz called Alan. She has something to say. She must tell him that she was the one who healed them. She must tell him that she is a saint. However, she went speechless and could not say a thing. Beatrice spoke and said that it would be great if they could find a carriage, because the next place they are heading to is quite far from here. Alan, at this moment, changed the topic and asked about his sword. Liz said that it's the gratitude for the safe completion of the task. Also, being defenseless is dangerous. They are the ones who got him involved with the revelation which broke his sword. Alan was about to say more, but Liz cut him off and told him not to worry about it. She said that there is a friend of hers who can make a sword that he will likely be satisfied with. The sun has fallen. Liz was sleeping on Alan's lap and Beatrice was apologizing. She knows that Alan is exhausted too, and right now he is taking care of them. Beatrice wanted him to sleep a bit now. Alan said that he's young, so he's not exhausted at all. Plus, he said that she and Liz are more exhausted than him. He also talked about using gifts to clean clothes and preparing baths, all because of Beatrice. Beatrice mumbled a bit when Liz woke up. Alan greeted her good morning, and Liz quickly got up with an apologetic face. Alan assured her that she was not heavy at all. Liz did not back down and asked Alan to sleep a bit. Upon hearing it, Alan laughed. He thought that the master and her subordinate were really similar. 10 days have passed since they parted from Akira, and within those days, it was really fun and enjoyable for Alan. The sound of chit-chatting can be heard all over the place. Alan asked if this was the village. Liz said yes, but to Alan, this seems to be more of a city than a village. The place even has a guild. He had doubts. He asked himself how this city developed in such a wilderness. Plus, there are plenty of jobs in other cities. This city is too well designed for ordinary people like locals. He was about to think about it more when Liz cut him off. She said that before he dive into these thoughts, they should start by fulfilling her promise. The new sword. Beatrice asked if he was interested in this place. She was not surprised because everyone calls it special. Alan asked if she was implying that the place belongs to the royal family. And now, that would be a secret. There are different races in the world. Elves, dwarves, beasts, humans. Most of them live in the kingdom of Adster. Blacksmiths and mages can work for the royal family, or maybe even live among people, live an ordinary life. However, there are also those who find it difficult to live here and leave these lands. Quite a complex problem. The so-called discrimination. It exists everywhere because it is an unconscious thing. It is possible to be a handyman and independent of everyone, such as adventurers. After a moment, they stopped walking, and Alan was in awe of the place. They made their way inside the forge. Various works are posted everywhere. Swords are lined up, some of which will be better than his, and yet strangely enough she hung them up. Liz noticed that the rumble was gone. She asked Beatrice if she noticed that they came, or was it just a coincidence. Liz and Beatrice kept talking while Alan was looking around, complimenting how every sword is forged equally. They all looked at this girl girl when she appeared. She said that she was just in the workshop. Beatrice taunted her that she decided to come and meet them. The girl laughed and denied her claim, saying that it was just a coincidence. Liz said that she hasn't changed at all. The girl replied that she hasn't changed either, except for her appearance. Liz panicked when she realized that she forgot to introduce Alan. Alan said that it was okay, and asked her if this was her girlfriend. Liz told him that he just said a very rude thing. Alan quickly apologized and tried to clear it up. After all, he remembered Liz telling him that the first princess cannot make friends. Now, he is glad that this problem has been resolved. Liz felt happy upon hearing that he still remembered those details. Alan said that this is the reason he became her partner. Initially, he wanted to support her in everything, and that feeling hasn't changed yet. The girl interrupted them and said that they must not flirt with each other in someone else's house. Liz said that they actually came with business, and then proceeded in introducing Alan. The girl introduced herself too. She was Smith Knoll. She asked what kind of business they have. Liz asked her if they could have a sword for Alan. Knoll declined. Beatrice stated that she has the right to pick her customers, but they came there as her friends. She thought that Knoll wouldn't refuse without a reason. Knoll said that she is very busy at the moment and has no time to fulfill other orders, and if they are going to buy a sword, they can do it from other blacksmiths. Liz replied that she wanted the best sword for Alan, and Knoll is the best blacksmith that can make this possible. Knoll said that he already has a sword. Alan said that his sword is nothing but rubble. However, Knoll seems to be a bit surprised when she sees the sword. He asks Alan to show the sword to her. She held them in her hands, and at that moment, she changed her mind. She announced that she will be forging a sword for him. But before that, she would like to ask a question. She asked Alan if he would like to possess a sword that surpasses the sacred in its power. The sound of his shoes on the floor was heard as he entered the room. His father recognized that he had returned home. His father addressed him as Brett. His father asked Brad for the results. Brad replied that the army was redundant. He took care of everything himself. He asked his father to leave all the work to him. He promised to try to do everything in the best possible way, so that he will forget about his worthless son. Meanwhile, Knoll said that the sacred sword will cost more than 100 swords. Beatrice spoke and told Alan that when Knoll worked in the royal capital, she was considered one of the best in her field, not only in terms of craftsmanship, but also in terms of speed. And when it became known that she was moving in this place, the royal family tried their best not to let her go. Beatrice even told him that she was kind of jealous that a wonderful blacksmith would personally want to make a sword for him. Looking at these swords again, Alan realized that they are much better than the swords that he made for himself. All the swords in this workshop are without exaggeration of high quality. Plus, Beatrice has given her permission for this work, so he thinks he has no reason at all to refuse the offer. Liz was satisfied to see that both Noelle and Alan were happy. This time, Liz said that they shall finish the sword within 10 days. Liz realized that she would do it from scratch. She feared that Noel won't get enough rest. Noel said that she's used to it a long time ago, and on top of that, she now has a reason to forge this sword whatever it takes. And the three left. Some memories flashed back to Noel. She remembered her. Whenever she's peeping at her work, she's always done it with a sad face. But even so, when she forged a sword, for some reason it seemed to her that she was enjoying it. Hero and sacred swords. It's been 3 years already. Meanwhile, the three were walking away from the forge. Alan asked what they should do now. Liz mentioned that she never saw Noel in such an enthusiastic mood, so she thought that maybe they shouldn't bother her until she finished her work. Beatrice suggested that they should just wait somewhere quietly. Alan remembered that the two had some business in the place, so he said that they don't have to pay any attention to him at all. Beatrice said that it must not have been fair for them to keep silent, but as long as he's interested, she tells him about their business. Her general passed away about 3 months ago. The general's skills are one of the strongest in the kingdom, a gift capable of raising the combat strength of each fighter under its command, and it is no exaggeration to say that a general is half the military strength of the kingdom. Whatever the case, she and Beatrice can't do anything at all. Also, they can't get Alan involved in all this. Now that the kingdom has lost its military general, it is possible that allied countries may invade these lands. The House of the Westfelds, located on the southern edge of the country, is an ally of this kingdom. However, they will not be able to come to the rescue because they themselves are having problems with demons. Alan thought that if they let everything go, then this country is over. However, now that he has the right to refuse help and enjoy quiet days, he won't have to put up with the evil looks he had in the past again. But on the other hand, Liz and Beatrice may lose the place where they were born. Alan has decided to help them if they're alright with that. He assured them that they could count on him. Alan was curious as to how the general passed away, so he asked them. It happened in the morning 3 months ago. The general is someone who usually got up early in the morning, and suddenly did not wake up. Feeling something wrong, his wife walked into his room and found him there, lying without his head. They were unable to find out the identity of the criminal, or his motives. They were completely stumped. Alan asked if they did not notice something unusual, magic, or ability at the crime scene. Liz said that there were no traces of abilities other than those used by the guards. It turns out that there is a high probability that the demons did this. However, they have never heard of demons using some special technique to kill. Beatrice revealed that there was information that they had a power similar to a gift like the generals had. However, it is known that demons prefer to fight the enemy face to face. Demons, they brought that name up for convenience because their essence is still a mystery, and because with almost no demons alive, it is shrouded in mystery. In that case, Alan asked if it is possible that some someone is in collusion with demons. Liz said that she had no idea who the suspect was. They can't control who enters the border. Various representatives of racial groups live in the place. Alan thinks it would be great to gather information from them. However, he also thinks that it would make them suspicious. After all, he came from the Westfeld family. Beatrice said that they were investigating at a public level. As they already know, the Westfeld house is closest to the borders of demons, but they already removed their suspicions. Alan, to be honest, he did not expect them to be the suspect. Alan then asked why Liz was with her. Liz said that she had some suspicions. She went to look for a criminal suspect right after the accident. Alan asked for her thoughts. Liz said that she shall tell him later. Alan knew she wouldn't tell anyone about state secrets in a place full of people. Alan told Beatrice that he thinks there are people in this city involved in that incident. Beatrice replied, that would be better than nothing. The two girls thanked Alan for his help and said that they will be counting on him. Alan was in awe when they walked into the room. He couldn't believe that a city like this has such gorgeous lodging. It is a hotel suite with several rooms. A couple of hours earlier, Alan earned a large amount of money in the Rivera Guild branch. When they walked inside, Nadia Bentix, the secretary of the guild, greeted them warmly. Alan asked her if he could sell some of his materials. Nadia told him to show them along with his identification. About his ID, Beatrice offered hers. Alan was in doubt if they could do this. Beatrice said that it's okay. She will pay half of the commission fee instead of him. Alan then showed his material. Nadia kindly asks them to wait for a bit as she assesses it. After a while, Nadia asked Alan where he got such material. Nadia was completely astonished as she looked at the material further. They were dragon scales. Besides that, the card belongs to the Silver Maiden. Beatrice did know about this nickname until now. She thought that must have been nicknamed that because of the armor she wore when she worked as an adventurer. Liz knows about her working as an adventurer on her weekends, but it was her first time hearing of that nickname. Even during her weekend, Beatrice said that she's always on her silver armor and sword, so she never forgot that she served Liz. That's probably why they nicknamed her as the Silver Maiden. Alan was surprised that even on weekends, she doesn't forget about Liz. Mr. Alfred, Liz's uncle who passed away 5 years ago, told her that so many times. In any case, Beatrice is very strong, so everyone already knows about her. Beatrice blushed and said that they were praising her overwhelmingly. Nadia apologized for the long wait and informed them that she can't even evaluate such a rare item, so she needed some advice. So she ran to the director. A grandfather came into view. He said that they usually do not care about adventure stories, but when they heard about the dragon scales, they couldn't stay away. So, he asked them to give more details as to how they got it. The grandfather then apologized for the impertinent question. He said that he suddenly heard shouting from the secretary, and he couldn't get past it, and his companion seems to be interested as well. That companion is an Amazon. They live on the southern continent. They are known to be a very warlike and vigilant race. The grandfather said that they overheard them talking about the dragon scales, and he thinks it's a great adventure story. He asked Alan if he personally got the dragon scales, or if he did it with the help of his companions. The grandfather could not help but think if it is possible that one of them is a hero. Alan praised him, and said that he has a brilliant eye. The grandfather said that they are worthy of the biggest accolades. Alan thanked him before he turned his back and said his goodbye. Meanwhile, Noel was sweating bullets as she worked on the sword. She was already tired, but she didn't want to give up, just like what this woman did. She motivated herself that she could do it. She can forge a sword that will surpass the power of the sacred sword. The two girls wore smiles on their faces when they saw that Alan had come back. Alan apologized, and Beatrice said that they didn't wait on for too long. Also, she informed Alan that there are no leads on the killer today. Alan replied that there's no information in the guild about the incident with the general either. However, there is a rumor. There must be someone in the southern forests. Liz said that she also heard about this. There's something dangerous in the place, and a lot of townspeople who entered never came back. Beatrice asked if Alan's telling her that there's no trace found there either. Alan said that he sensed the presence of some powerful force, but he can't describe it in words. It seems to him that someone is trying to confuse them in this way. 10 days have passed, and the three came back to the forge. However, they found Noel lying on the floor. Alan seemed to be panicking a bit, while the two were calm as a deer. Liz already suspected that this would happen, and said that when she woke up, she would give her a good scolding. While Alan was testing the swords, Noel was just there watching him. Noel asked him how well the sword she forged. Alan said that they fit well in his hands. Noel forged 3 swords so that Alan could pick the best one. Alan changed the topic and asked how she was feeling. If she faint again like that, he told her that Liz will be very angry. Noel said that she was fine, and she just wanted his opinion on the swords. Noel did not say a thing for a bit, but when Alan called her, she came back to life. She said that he can't figure out which sword is better until he fights a stronger opponent. So, they have decided to find a powerful monster. Time has passed. Alan has defeated quite a lot of monsters. He wondered if he should continue a bit more. He noticed that Noel Noel hadn't said anything to him even after she invited him to the depths of the forest. Noel wondered if he had any other intentions. She wondered as to why Alan was so carefree. He didn't even doubt her. Alan said that it's because he doesn't have any bad intentions on her. Also, he thinks that this has a connection. From afar, they saw a wounded beast. The things that cause harm to the forest. Eventually, it is believed that it will attack the city. As far as he can tell, this monster nullifies attacks below a certain level. He knew that there was one nearby, but he had never seen it personally. Moreover, this will be the best way to test the sword's effectiveness. When he first saw the sword, it was overwhelming, but depending on how he trains, he can kill a beast like this with one attack. He also advised Noelle to try swinging the sword a bit when she's fixing it, to understand what he was saying. Alan asked Noelle if she's willing to trust him. Noelle gladly said yes, and told Alan to tell her if he needs anything else. From afar, the Amazon from earlier was standing, watching Alan and Noelle. She was told that Alan was just an insignificant person that she shouldn't be concerned about. However, this time she was deliberating if she should report this, because she saw how Alan was able to break the barrier, but later on decided that this doesn't matter. After Noelle finished making her new swords, she realized that she still had something to do. Monsters, blood, and screaming flashed before her eyes. So, she went into the forest. She felt the need to test the swords in this monster before handling it to Alan, so she tried to fight this. However, she ended up coughing blood herself. She was confident that Alan had the ability to defeat this monster instead. She knew that Alan was strong. She was surprised when someone picked up the sword when she was about to. The person complimented how good and well-crafted the sword was. He also mentioned that Noel must have hurt Fenrir using this. This person was that grandfather. Noel seemed to recognize this old man. The old man said that he did not expect Noel would approach him first. Noel could not understand what he meant by that. The old man said that it literally means what it means. He would not bother to prepare something like this to attack the city. His purpose was her, from the very beginning. Some things started to make sense for Noel. Apparently this old man was here 3 years ago. The old man said that it was true he made it move 3 years ago, but his goal then was the dwarf. He thought that if he let it be, it would become a great threat. The old man seemed to recognize how familiar this sword was crafted, so he asked the obvious, if Noel was the dwarf's disciple. He made fun about it, saying that both the master and the disciple will be killed by the same beast. Even so, he really liked the sword, so he thought that if he's killing Noel, he might as well take the sword. The old man then offered Noel to be his. He said that she will not be mistreated. She will also have a proper day if she works. Also, he already has someone that's quite similar to her. He asked Noel if she needed some time to think. Noel told him that she doesn't need it all. She vowed to pray from that world that this old man suffers and dies. Obviously, he did not like that answer, so he commanded the beast to devour Noel. Not until Alan came. Noel noticed the sword she forged for Alan. Alan told her that she was not in her house when he visited, and realized something. Seemed like his premonition was right. The old man interrupted them and said that he did not expect Alan to show up, but this made things quite interesting. They exchanged mockery for a bit. The old man then said that he has no chance defeating Fenrir, which means Alan has no chance defeating him. So, just like what he did to Noel, he offered Alan to be his. In exchange, he will let Noel go. Alan, without a second thought, said that there's no reason for him to accept such a proposal. So, the old man commanded the beast to devour him. Alan used his skill to strike the beast. The old man could not believe what he just witnessed. The old man escaped. Noel asked Alan to chase him because he stole someone important to her. Alan said that he can't do that. There's something he needs to do first. Meanwhile, this Amazona was called by this old man. The old man commanded her to kill that girl. He threatened her by saying that she surely knows what will happen if she fails. So, she convinced herself that all she was doing was just following orders. Upon arrival, the Amazona was surprised to see Liz standing in the hallway, as if she was really waiting for her to arrive. At that moment, Beatrice showed up and tousled her on the floor. She told them that she was just a bait. That may be true, but Beatrice wanted her to be quiet and behave. Liz approached her and asked her story. They were waiting for her patiently to talk when Alan showed up with Noel on his back. Time has passed, and Alan was just casually buying things on the market. He was talking with the vendor, and he learned that many people ate back because the monsters in the forest seemed to have calmed down, and the guild was in turmoil because some guy with quite the skills made it happen. Alan now decided to stop by Noel's place. He was greeted by her. She was quite stuttering as she greeted Alan. Alan told her that she should be smiling when she's serving customers. Until now, Alan was still surprised that Noel said something like that. Going back to that time when Amazona was trying to kill Liz. When they arrive, Noel announces that she will be taking this girl under her care. Beatrice was quite dissatisfied with this. Liz stopped her and said that she doesn't want her to be punished. In the first place, perhaps the intention for taking her life might not be intentional, but due to the compulsion of being under someone's gift. Beatrice wanted to reason out more, but Liz cut her off, saying that it's fine, since they got some useful information as well. That old man was the devil, and was involved in the assassination of the shogun. Noel then asked the girl if she too was threatened by the old man, offering her to be his, on the verge of her death. Noel gently tapped her head and caressed her hair. The girl fell to her knees, crying. Going back to the present, Alan thought that it might be fine even if he doesn't visit daily from now on. That devil must have used a gift-like power to form a master-slave relation with Melanie, this girl. He forcibly cut it off, but he was still worried whether whether it would have any side effects on her. Noel thanked him genuinely. Alan bid his goodbye, but Melanie made him stop. She shortly said her gratitude before they waved goodbye to him at the door. Meanwhile, the devil thought that Alan is something he should be informed about right away. He wondered if he should just withdraw from the country itself to be sure. Little did he know, it might be his last thoughts. Alan showed up, cutting his flesh. His body oozes blood on the dirt. Amongst the crowd, Alan stood. Nadia noticed him and greeted him immediately before saying how busy they were. She even asked Alan to help her out. Because in the first place, the reason why they were busy was because of him. But all she did was cash in the materials she had on hand and ask for the cleanup of the monsters that she subjugated. It wouldn't be a problem if the materials were normal. These materials are rare, plus they were handful. Even if the appraisal hasn't caught up to the materials, so they can't even cash it in. It would take a month. Alan expressed his sympathy, then asked himself if he can afford an inn now. Nadia heard it and immediately suggested that if that's the case, he might as well just buy a house. Nadia told him that if he does the transaction through the guild, they will just automatically deduct that amount from the cash that they are supposed to give him. He wouldn't have to worry about not having cash in hand for a while. Alan pictured out having his own house, living a slow life, and was happy about it. He told Nadia that he will think about it, because there has been no sign of the devil nor the shogun that was investigating Liz and the others, so he asked Nadia if she had heard any interesting stories. Nadia heard a rumor going around the town that someone saw a famous person that supposedly died a few years ago. She got closer and whispered the name Sir Alfred Beverstam. He is the younger brother of the current king, the one who had the right to succeed the throne even if he was second in place. He threw away his right to succeed because he hated the fact that he had to fight his brother over it. In terms of ability, he was a person who claimed the position of deputy chief of the First Knights, and he's Liz's uncle. There are rumors concerning dead people resurrecting, but when Sir Alfred perished, it seems his death was not confirmed with his dead body. Alan asked why she was freely giving this information to him. Nadia thought that this would be useful information for his companion. Alan returned to their lodgings and told Liz about these. Liz could not contain herself because of this shocking news. Beatrice then said that the reason they are here is not just about the shogun, but because of Sir Alfred. Liz apologized to Alan for not talking about it. It was quite personal, so she never did. The rumors that someone that looked like her uncle were spotted. It's not the first time she heard about it, but it spread widely because of something that happened here in the city. Alan then asked why they were attacked. Liz told him that her uncle was ripped in front of her, as his lower body was cut off by monsters. When they were returning from a noble's party, they got engaged in combat with a group of monsters, and as soon as her uncle was injured, the ground broke up and he fell into the shore. No matter how hard one thinks about this, it's something that he couldn't survive. However, the fact that the body was never found still lies. At that time, Liz wasn't awakened to the power of healing, so she couldn't do anything either. All she could do was watch. This time, Beatrice was the one to talk. She said that at that time, Liz was in shock, but she was also trying to recover at the same time. And it was then that they heard the rumors regarding Sir Alfred being alive. Not only that, they have presumed that he was hiding exact revenge on the royal family for treating him so poorly. Alan thought that this would be impossible, since Sir Alfred abandoned his right to throne, because he hated fighting over it. Liz said that he's been a gentle soul ever since. He has always greatly cared about her and her father. Alan then offered that if she's worried about it, they could just go there and check for themselves, because just like what he had said, he knows the location of the village. Their carriage is all set. Alan said that it would take them 7 days to travel, so it's going to be a bit of a long trip. Alan was more than happy to join them in this journey. He has been working too much lately, and it costs money to stay in the inn. Liz said that it looks like there will be no monsters to deal with during the journey. It's a perfect time for him to relax. The breeze was brushing on Liz's face as she looked at the scenery. She looked up and saw Alan relaxing peacefully. She was surprised to see a bird in front of her face. Alan said that the birds around here are so friendly. Liz held it in her hands and looked at its cuteness. Liz then called Alan and asked what's the view up there. Alan grabbed her up. When Beatrice saw this, she immediately told them to be careful. She must really be the mother of the group. While Liz was talking about how the wind feels nice and how the sky looked beautiful, Beatrice was calming her nerves. She must be really stressed out because of these two. Liz said that if she hadn't gone on a trip with them, she wouldn't have seen such a nice view. Things started getting romancy when Liz said that she is in his care again. Alan replied the same. If I were Beatrice and I'm hearing all of this, I would just jump out of the window. It's not the monsters that will be the death of me, it's singleness. After some time of traveling, they decided to stop for a bit. While Alan was tending the fire and food, the two girls were taking their bath at this nice spring, and it's all thanks to Alan. Liz spoke and told Beatrice that she and Alan have been helping her a lot. Beatrice said that she and Alan are here of their own volition, so she doesn't have to worry about it. However, Liz wished that she could be helpful somehow. After changing back to their clothes, Liz thanks Alan for the hot spring. Alan said that dinner is still being prepared and asked them to wait a little longer. Liz offered to help, but Beatrice, with her motherly instinct, did not agree. She was fearing that Liz would hurt herself. Liz told her that she's not that stupid, but even to Alan, that is not very convincing. But in the end, Beatrice ended up watching this pot while the lovebirds cut the vegetables. Alan was teaching Liz step by step on how to hold and cut them. Her cutting skills weren't good, but Alan assured her that she would get better soon. Night has fallen upon them as they happily shared a meal and a bit of laughter. After a while, Liz had fallen asleep, and Beatrice carried her. Before going, Beatrice did not forget to thank Alan for today. Liz has always wanted to be helpful, and Alan made it possible today with the cooking. After settling Liz, Beatrice came back. Alan spoke and said that it finally came true. The things that he has been longing for, a leisurely and peaceful life, going back to the past. Upon seeing her like this, Brett asked his brother why their mother was sleeping. Alan replied that it's because she died. Alan pulled him into this room. Upon arrival, they saw their father weeping. Brett was surprised when suddenly their father laughed. Their father praised Alan for being a genius and bringing an amazing result. Brett, coming back from the shore, was wearing his best smiles as he entered this room. He wanted to give a beautiful stone to Alan, but instead he found his father. His father said that Alan has no time for him, so he must stay out of the way. So, from now on, he must not talk to Alan. But what broke his heart more is when their father called him a failure. He immediately ran out of the room. He went to Alan with his pillow. Alan asked him if he can't sleep, but instead he replied also with a question, asking Alan if he was a failure. Alan asked why he was asking these things suddenly. Brett was convinced that he was a loser. Alan said that he's wrong. Besides, deciding a person's value based on someone else's decisions is not worth anything at all. Brett said that things were a lie because their father told him that he is a failure. After studying for a bit, Alan found himself in these halls, accidentally overheard these people talking about how Brett is always playing. While he was deemed amazing and worthy of being the next family head. Suram was alone on this shore when Alan found him. It's almost sunset, so Alan told him that they should head back. However, he ran away, leaving Alan alone. But the status of his brother, who was called a genius, never changed. He leveled up first. So, from then on, their father expects things from Brett now rather than from Alan. His father began to show kindness to him, but he understood that it was a lie. Nevertheless, he was happy. From that day onwards, instead of him, Alan was the one who became a failure. Brett began to change his attitude towards Alan. He said that he lost his original status, him being a failure, every time he levels up. While he was ranting, Alan was just there, standing and listening. Brett accused Alan of making a fool out of him, just like their father. He believed that Alan has always been frivolous, acting like nothing happened no matter how many times he was called a failure. Brett showed his determination to show Alan that he is above him, that Alan is not going to be the next head of the Vestfeld family. Brett turned his back, but Alan called him and said that it will be fine if it's him, and even if he makes a mistake, he will be there to stop it. Brett woke up. He had these maids under his strings. He told them to get ready and hurry up. Brett was determined to kick Alan out. He vowed to not let anyone look at him with pitiful eyes, which he despised the most. He convinced himself that he did not make a mistake. He is not a loser. And he deserves to be the one who supports this household. Upon arrival in his room, he greeted his father. Their father told him that they should get started. The Archbishop finally has it. They will be starting their revenge against this country's god. After days of traveling, finally they have arrived. It was a pretty peaceful village. Beatrice hoped that they would be able to find leads about Sir Alfred and the Shogun. A lady approached them asking if they were traveling in this remote place. Alan said that they're actually looking for Liz's uncle. The lady said that she has lived in this village with some old friends, but she hasn't heard of anything like this, so she offered the way to the chief's home. They arrived and the village chief greeted them warmly. Beatrice explained the situation. Liz told him that she really wants to meet and talk with her uncle again, so any information he has would be a great help to them. The village chief said that he really wanted to help them, but he can't tell them what he doesn't know. Beatrice asked if there is any other story of a missing person being found in the village. The village chief said that this place is fairly secluded. If there was something like that, it's natural for him to hear about it. To apologize, he offered them his place to stay for the day. He said that this house is a little too big for an old man to live in, and in a village like this, there's no place for travelers to stay in. Also, he mentioned that in a few days, there will be a small festival enough for the whole village to enjoy it. They can go see it if they want. Moreover, the chief said that it's nice to make an acquaintance with them. Liz's memory of her uncle came back to her, from being carried in his arms to his final minute. Liz was dreaming. She clutched the sheets tightly when she dreamt of her asking Sir Alfred if it's true that her father, the king, was trying to kill her. She wanted answers, but Sir Alfred turned his back and walked away. She woke up from that dream feeling drained. She wanted to see it with her own eyes. No matter how hard the reality is, she wanted to know the truth. The festival day came. The whole village was bright, and people were really enjoying each other's company. Beatrice thought that it was quite unique because people have their own costumes. Alan said it was called the Spirit Festival. It was the day to welcome the spirits of their ancestors who have died. The festival is celebrated every year. There is a rumor that the shogun and Sir Alfred were seen as the deceased. Beatrice was in awe as to how lovely the place has become. The village chief arrived and said that it's a rule not to be gloomy. He explained that everyone is dressed like the deceased. It's because the festival's main purpose is to provide comfort and consolation for the people of the village. Alan asked if there's something that they can do to help. The village chief said that there's nothing to worry about. The festival begins at nightfall and asks them to enjoy it. Beatrice thought that it was odd, because festivals like these are usually fairly ordinary. This is quite an amazing spectacle. I'm their country. The dead are treated like some sort of taboo, and that no one should interact with them thoughtlessly. But this kind of festival is like they're bringing back the dead. It wouldn't be funny if this village got burned down like normally. Alan said that it was because this place is remote. He then asked if it's okay for Beatrice to leave it like this as a night. Beatrice said that the village is not a nuisance to anyone, so it will be fine to leave it be. The villagers started dancing and singing while the three watched from afar. Alan was kind of disappointed. He thought there was something about it, but there's nothing ritualistic about this. One of the villagers asked them to join. Liz said that she would like to rest for a bit, so the villager turned to Beatrice and asked her for a dance. Beatrice was dumbfounded. She could not believe that she was the one being asked. So, Liz pushed her and Alan and said that she will be waiting over here. She felt giddy as she watched Beatrice panicked as the villager held her hand. However, she started to feel a little different until she looked at her side and saw this familiar build. It was her uncle Alfred. Sir Alfred began to disappear from her sight. Liz hesitated at first because she promised Alan and Beatrice that she would be waiting in this corner, but she ended up following her uncle. She was out of breath when Sir Alfred stopped. He began the conversation and said that he wasn't interested in coming to this place by himself, but he wondered if Liz really needs to be that cautious when meeting her father. Liz used to call him that, but now he was just Uncle Alfred to her. He remembered his brother being worried that he had to teach Liz that he was her father and not Uncle Alfred. Liz remembered these things and admitted these as facts. Sir Alfred asked her if there's some questions she would like to ask him. Surely Liz has many of these. That time, Sir Alfred explained that he did his best to tell her the bare minimum. Liz asked him why her father would kill him. Sir Alfred replied that her father is a king. He knows how to wear a mask when necessary. He added that no king would allow his princess to come to a remote place like this. She should have had at least a platoon of knights ensuring her safety, and by the time she got here, someone attempted to kill her. To tell her the truth, her father wants 5 people dead, including her. It means that the lives of the possessor of the congenital gifts are in danger. Liz guessed that the shogun who was killed first is one of those gifted individuals, just like her uncle Alfred, and she was right. When they were in the royal capital, investigating the shogun, she hated it because it's as if someone is watching her all the time. She's not the only one with the congenital gift. Her father wants to kill her, and now it all fits together. She asked Sir Alfred why those with congenital gifts have to die. The puppet of God, as they called it. A gift is something given by God, and in it is a little God's will. Even dragons can be killed. Extraordinary weapons can be made which will bring victory, and Liz is a saint. Revelations of God and miraculous beings who can do what mankind could not. Her power is as mighty as God intended it to be. She's in control. Her gifts have too much influence on those around her. If she wanted to, she could control this country and even destroy it. Whether she will do it or not, it's still possible. The mere existence of her, the possessors of the congenital gifts, is a threat, and her power is subject to divine will to determine its use. While Liz admits that it's true that she got a revelation and is driven by divine will, but it's to prevent people's misery. The world is meant for the people. That is, they should be the one making our own happiness, not the gods. Her father decided to kill all the gift bearers to return the world back into the hands of man. Sir Alfred doesn't want her to die like this, so he has a proposal to make. He offered Liz to defeat the king together. For a while, no one spoke a word. Then, Liz apologized and declined, saying that even if it's true, she believes that they will come to an understanding if they talk it out. Sir Alfred said that this kindness of her will destroy her and grieve those that care about her. Liz reasoned out that he was the one who taught her that the most important thing to do is to believe in people at all times. Upon saying this, her uncle's voice began to change and said that he will be putting her body to good use. His uncle completely drew out his sword and attacked her. Liz thought it was her last breath when her knight in shining armor came. Sir Alfred clearly is not fond of him. He was told not to interfere, but Alan said that he was the one disturbing his peace and that he's not going to be talking to someone who's not following his own will. Alan used his authority of the blade World's End. Using this, he broke the spell that was controlling Sir Alfred. Liz thought her uncle was already dead, but he opened his eyes and moved. He acknowledged Alan for breaking the spell and immediately apologized to Liz, saying that he didn't try to kill her out of his volition. Plus, he cleared the king's name. It was not her father that was trying to kill her, but it is true that he has a grudge against the royal family. He has been betraying the royal family while working with them even before they killed him, to get revenge on the royal family. Now that he thinks about it, he was just one of the people that they used. However, they've got a problem. Sir Alfred is certain that the sorcerer knows the spell that controlled him has been lifted. They certainly didn't have much time, so he asked Alan to do two things for him. He asked Alan to take good care of Liz. She's a good girl, but he's worried because she's a little reckless. Alan replied that he will be doing that even if he didn't ask him to. The second thing was sparring. Sir Alfred asked Alan for a spar, but Alan already expected this because he's leaving his precious daughter in his hands. Alan says it's only fair that Sir Alfred makes sure that he's deserving of it. Sir Alfred acknowledged this and told him that he's a smart man. Alan said that he's not really comfortable with fighting someone who just woke up. Sir Alfred replied that he's pretty strong. Liz remembered Sir Alfred promising her when she was little that he would be protecting her from the scary demons until there's someone stronger than him. Tonight is the Spirit Festival, a one-night-only dream when the living and the dead mingle. It's a night to dance with the dead, but these clearly have different ideas of dancing. After exchanging a few strikes, Sir Alfred was defeated by Alan. He apologized to Liz for having to shed tears, but this is a relief. This time, he can finally rest in peace as a knight and as a man. Liz cried harder when he said that although he never had a child, she was like a daughter to him. When she called him father, he couldn't describe how hard it was to keep that joy off his face. Before finally succumbing to his deep sleep, he told Liz how much he loves her and hopes that she finds happiness. When all the flames burn out together, the festival ends, the dead go back to the underworld, and the living goes back to their daily lives. While Alan was having his self-love quality time, the village chief came to ask since he had noticed it. Alan said that since the beginning, he already knew that there are dead people in this village, and the village chief controls those corpses. The village chief is a necromancer. If he knew already about it, the village chief asked why he kept things on his toes. Alan said that he didn't want to get involved, since he wasn't even sure if they would try and harm him. Even though the dead love alongside the living, this village is peaceful. The village chief asked if that's still his view, even if he's a demon. Alan asked if it would be way too narrow-minded to assume that all demons are bad. Now that he thinks about this, he thought that what the village chief was doing was all pointless. The village chief said that Alan has a lot of versatility, and he seems to be quite capable, but these things can still move even if he cut their heads off. They can't even feel pain and will just keep coming at him. The two started battling, and the village chief ended up facing his demise. While he was bleeding to death, Alan spoke and said that he forgot to mention something important. A person's body and soul is not for someone else to mess with. Morning came. Beatrice heard all about what happened last night. Alan was scared that Beatrice would give me a good sermon. Liz gaped when Beatrice said that she should be blamed for all of this. She believed that she was too careless and got carried away by the village's peaceful atmosphere. Liz said that she should not be the one to blame. The stone that the village chief was holding looked like an oar, but when you see it, you know that it's not. Sir Alfred says that the only part that was him was from the neck up, and that the shogun was found dead without his head. Everyone turned their attention to Liz when she announced that she's getting a transmission. In the royal capital, the shogun has shown up. Within the walls of the kingdom of Adastera, in the royal capital Cardia, people in hushed tones were talking about the shogun. They stopped talking when they saw him. The man who has loyally served the king for many years, the knight commander of the First Order, Edward Gadagard. Sir Edward was talking with this man. He mentioned that the town is still filled with rumors. The man said that it's worse than yesterday. However, he thinks it's understandable to some extent, but no matter how he looks at it, he thinks it's circulating too fast. Sir Edward asked if it means that someone is spreading the rumors, or maybe it's an organization judging by their work. The man asked about the shogun. Sir Edward replied that his subordinates are searching for him. Since a lot of people have seen him, he thought that it's better to assume it's true than to think that they have fooled them. But as for him, he believes that the shogun is long dead. The man mentioned that he knew all about it. He knew how he felt about this country, and believes that he's not the type to spread a rumor like that. Then, Sir Edward said that it's safe to assume that he's fake. The man replied with respect that people can change. He thinks it's better to be prepared for anything. Sir Edward was happy to hear him say that, and said that his second in command is really capable. The man blushed and even stuttered when he said that he was just doing his job. It doesn't matter for Sir Alfred, in any case, except facing the crisis that is threatening the fate of the nation. There's nothing for him to do. According to his second in command, the shogun's gift is the ability to force orders upon his subordinates regardless of their wills. If the shogun betrays them, the enemy's small army will suddenly become first-class soldiers. In that case, Sir Edward will be the one in the royal capital who could stand up to him. Well, be it real or fake, it doesn't matter. He will definitely stop him from taking revenge on the kingdom. And besides, he has never fought with a serious opponent before. He thought that this would be a great opportunity to decide the strongest in the kingdom. Commander Edward's gift is a disaster. According to the second in command, every gift is nullified. No matter what the gift of the shogun is, he has no chance. However, he could not deny that he feels uneasy. They stopped walking when a knight approached them. He said that he has something to report. Just now, a message from the guards came. They said that a suspicious person was sighted. Commander Edward asked if that person was at the garrison, but the knight said he was not, so they asked the knight to lead the way. They made their way through these halls and down to the stairs stairs. They arrived and saw this man in a cloak. He said that the fact he has been brought here must mean that he's a difficult person to bring to the garrison. The man in a cloak said that if he had been taken in without question, there'd have been a lot of trouble. That's why they had to meet in a place like this. Upon hearing that familiar voice, the two gaped in surprise. This man was the Archbishop. Commander Edward got intimidated quickly. He knows that you don't get to see the Archbishop every day. The other soldiers would like to stay and accompany their commander, but he knows that this must be settled only between them. And with that, they left. Meanwhile, a man in a cloak approached his lord, Brett, and reported that it is believed that he succeeded in fishing out Commander Edward. He mentioned that he even used the Archbishop on this, so he will get in trouble if ever that doesn't work out. Lord Brett believes that Commander Edward is pretty unreasonable at times, but couldn't deny that he isn't the enemy here. He can deactivate the gifts of all people who are in a 1-meter radius instantly, even all the indirect attacks, such as arrow and slash attacks. In other words, he is almost invincible on the battlefield. However, Commander Edward is hasty, and if some things were to happen unexpectedly, it can all just fall apart. Lord Brett knew that if they were the one to deal with it, they surely can't handle it. But he knows someone who can, the hero. Meanwhile, Akira was with the little girl. The little girl seemed to be scared because of the large crowd, so she held her in her hands. She promised to help her find a place to stay with peace of mind until she calms down. They stopped walking when they noticed these mysterious strangers on cloak. One of them asked her how long she plans on playing hide and seek. She told them their killing intent is leaking, and warned them that if her killing intent is the same as them, they wouldn't be able to kill her. This man knows that they certainly can't beat Akira, but it's a different story that this little girl is with her. Panic was evident on Akira's face when the little girl started acting in pain. The mysterious man said that she has already been engraved by their technique, the technique which uses her life as a fuel to self-destruct. The man flicked his fingers and an explosion occurred. After arriving at the training ground, the Archbishop said that his job is done here. Commander Edward was a bit hesitant when the Archbishop left him, knowing who would be in a place like this. His reflexes were fast enough to draw his sword against this man. Commander Edward knows that this is the only person who would try to arrange a duel without giving greetings. It's been a while since he saw this man. It's Craig. Commander Edward said that he must have a really good reason for this, given that he dared to involve the Archbishop. He added that he should have just come alone, instead of becoming this foolish. Craig replied that it's too late for this gibberish, because the Archbishop is already on their side. Commander Edward was more than in shock when he heard this. Craig revealed he's the one who called him there, because he's in the way of his plan. He intends to get rid of him. While this was happening, people were gathering here looking at General Cyril together with the Archbishop. First, they addressed everyone and apologized for startling them out of the blue. However, the reason for their sudden appearance, they may already know about this, but the country is deceiving them. But the Archbishop thinks that's not even the right way to put it. To word it more precisely, God is deceiving them. If they are all wondering why he hasn't talked about this before, there's a reason for that. They're talking about God here. Since they are involved in this matter, it would be out of his league if he were to interfere. He had no idea what would happen to the people who live here if he were to speak out on this subject. He felt guilty about it. Whether it be the matter of God or for this country, he doesn't intend on letting them get away with it. General Cyril also felt the same way. He knew of it but couldn't shout it out. He knew it would be something incredibly cruel to hear for them. The people started whispering to each other what these two people meant with their talkings. So, General Cyril continued talking and ended up portraying that God is deceiving them through these gifts. It's what he uses to control them. Craig and Commander Edward continued battling, but it seems like Commander Edward was on the verge of having his life ended. Craig said that it should be obvious by now that he has won, but his eyes seemed to haven't realized. Commander already knew he was defeated, but couldn't ask himself how Craig was this strong. Craig said that he only cares about the gift, but it's really the level that counts. The higher your level is, the higher your soul is ranked. In other words, you became a higher being, a being closer to God. He added that it won't be good if the country or if its ruler were to know what levels could primarily become the power to kill God. It's faulty, it takes advantage of people, and it only shackles them. He said that that's what gifts really are. Commander Edward said that he's already out of his mind. Craig laughed and admitted that claim. Ever since the only person that he loved was killed, Commander Edward pointed out that he took her as his wife because of her gift, even though he knew what would happen. But little did he know, Craig doesn't want any children at all. His lady was given the gift of the Virgin Mother, which was to bring forth heroes. Craig believes that she died in vain because of that gift, because what was born from that gift was a powerless piece of trash. General Cyril and the Archbishop were still going on with their pathetic speech. They pointed out how everyone is already a slave to God. Everyone is a puppet to gifts. But even so, he implores them to open their eyes to the truth. The crowd thinks that using the power of a gift to defend the country won't be a bad thing at all. Some people will accept gifts, even if they don't. The Archbishop declared that he holds the power of answers from all of these, and so, he called the presence of Brett Vestfelt. The crowd started getting louder because of his sudden appearance, and Alan's name could not help but be spoken. Brett introduced himself and said that it's understandable that none of them knows him, but plead them to listen to what he has to say. He pointed his hand respectfully to this old man next to him and told the crowd that he is an alchemist whom he has employed in their household. Originally, Originally, his skills were not very good. However, now, he has reached the point of creating magical life forms. A creature appeared and Brett told them this was the magical life form the old man managed to create. It's kind of like a golem. He assured everyone that they are safe. In fact, this is an entity that can assist them with its powers. General Cyril informed them that this entity's power is on par with the soldiers of the Night Order. It's something that he has verified himself. The crowd deemed this beneficial. However, they wondered how a mediocre alchemist created something like that, and that would be because of Brett's power. The Anthem of Heroes. He has the power to draw out the latent abilities of the target. Although, it is not possible to draw out everything at once, and it requires time. However, by using it, a person can manifest much stronger abilities than now, even without possessing gifts or the like. By instance, drawing out his abilities as an alchemist. And the power that is drawn out is ultimately the power that the person generally possesses. Since it is different from gifts, it is possible to pass it on to the next generation. By doing so, what is passed down through generations can eventually bestow true power upon their descendants, surpassing even gifts and the like. However, this demon exists for that purpose. When people saw it, they surely gasped from shock. Brett calmed them down and said that they already have successfully established cooperative relationships with the demons. It was all thanks to this cooperation that they were able to learn about all these truths. The demons promised them to assist with the things that cannot be compensated for by a gift. With these, Brett told them that they don't need gifts at all. He encouraged them to join hands with other species and think about the way they want to live, and they can become more free. Meanwhile, these first knights were waiting for the crow to turn white. The soldiers noticed that the vice captain wasn't looking good, so they tried to uplift his morale when this man showed up. One of the knights was about to attack, but the vice captain said that he can already tell at a glance that they can't handle these guys alone. The man told them that he is no enemy and proceeded in brainwashing them about the gifts too. However, the vice captain holds his ground firm, saying that they are the knights and they shall continue to be the shield of this country and its people. One of the knights pointed out that this man is not a kid, so it's obvious that the country isn't always doing the right thing. It's not like it's causing unhappiness among the people. If he wanted to bring about reforms, the knight advised him on doing it on his own. Even if the gods themselves decide their fate without their consent, they chose to be here. They swore that even in death, they wouldn't obey him. The man attacked them, and from then on, blood kept spilling down to the ground. The man pointed out that this power he has is not bestowed by a gift. The vice captain told them not to lose focus and disregarded this talkings, when all of a sudden, Beatrice appeared. The man in the cloak was surprised when he saw Beatrice, not knowing how she managed to be in the place. Beatrice said that it was because she had strong allies with that kind of power, and borrowed some of their abilities. The man had no chance to escape. Soon, he met the dark place. It seems like Beatrice did not even exert a single sweat from the fight. The vice captain immediately thanked her while Beatrice helped him stand. Meanwhile, Commander Edward was already spitting blood at this moment. Craig had his sword on his shoulders. He said that Commander Edward could clearly see the difference in power, so it should have been better to obediently submit. Instead, he asked Craig what he had done to General Cyril and the Archbishop. He knew that Craig is hiding something because, if what he had said is true, then the gifted with high abilities would become eliminated. Craig notices how his mind is as sharp as ever, saying that if only it were a bit duller, he might not have to face the possibility of death. He stated that there's no point in saying these. He probably already has the answer within him. Commander Edward replied that he must stop him, in place of the friend they lost, Cyril, and above all, as his friend. Things were about to end when Akira showed up. She did not forget to tease Commander Edward for being taken down spectacularly. Craig was surprised to see her. He knows that girl should be dead already, but she's here standing bravely. But in the end, he said that even if they call her braver, she's still God's puppet, so she must have abandoned the child to save herself. Akira said that he must not jump into conclusions easily. Craig said that he would be delighted knowing that he can kill God's puppet with his own 2 hands. Akira said that the constant talk about puppets is getting annoying. This power may have been given to her, but still, God or no God, she will knock him down. If he's complaining about that, then blaming everything on God is not the answer. Whether God willed it or not, it's up to him to decide what to do. It's just an excuse. Then, if Commander Edward can't stop him, he will have to kill him to prove that he is right. Brett, meanwhile, continued talking about how the world captivated by gifts shall meet its end, and that they should leave the national defense to them when someone cut him off. It was Alan. He did not go back on saying that it is impossible to believe this crap, because that demon tried to assassinate the princess. Brett laughed nervously and said that he would appreciate it if Alan could refrain from talking nonsense, because what benefit can they gain by doing such a thing? All of a sudden, Liz appeared. She said that powerful gift holders are considered obstacles. She was attacked because she's a congenital gift holder. Upon hearing this, Brett could no longer hide his true colors. He admitted that even though he was trying to settle things peacefully, she had to go and cause unnecessary trouble. The crowd started going wild. A kid asked some help with a knight, but the knight ended up attacking him. If it weren't for Alan, the kid might have died. All of the knights have fallen. It was because Alan cut the strings that were controlling them. It seems like they were under control for a long time, so he hoped that there are no lasting effects or after effects. Mad was an understatement for what Brett was showing. He had flaring eyes as he looked straight to Alan. Alan could not help but think how troublesome his brother was. Brett charged towards Alan, and Alan straightly punched him in the face without any hesitation. consultation. Alan told Liz that he'll take care of this, and had to assure Liz that he will be fine because she was on the verge of crying already. Akira was breathing heavily because of exhaustion. She thought that Craig's movements were a bit weird. He can clearly predict theirs. Commander Edward said that this only means one thing: he can see the future. His gift is a future vision. However, this gift takes a lot of concentration, so it can't be used for battle. Craig muttered that he always sees her death, many times. He was pissed at the thought that it's only her death that he cannot change. In the end, he can't do anything. Because of God's plan called fate, his love was taken from him. He believes that God's existence is just a shackle for humans. That would be the sole reason for Commander Edward to assume that this is why he denies God, and the gift that is his power. Akira said that he should stop saying unnecessary things. The loss of the most important person to him is something he cannot forgive himself for. Both Akira and Commander Edward were surprised when Craig started doing this. He asked for strength in exchange for his life. Now that Akira countered his attack, their powers are countering each other. However, she ended up being thrown on the ground. At that moment, Commander Edward already knew that this was the power of the devil. Commander Edward shouted and stopped him because if he uses too much of that power, he will lose himself. However, like Akira, he ended up being wounded, and now he is being swallowed by darkness, by anger, grief, and sorrow. But he still managed to get a grip on his shoulder and tried to convince him more. But Craig slashed him with his sword mercilessly. Until the end, Commander Edward was fighting for him, and Akira was pissed that Craig was still messing around. But it seems like Craig has lost his mind already. Akira was about to embrace her fate when Alan showed up. Craig laughed maniacally and said that he didn't expect it to go this far. But still, why Alan was here and how he ended up being in the place doesn't matter now. There's only one thing that he will say, and that would be for Alan to get lost. However, Alan made a move that completely caught him off guard. He is certain that his hatred that becomes darkness should not be that weak. Alan said that even if he is a failure, there are people that he can't leave alone. Craig got triggered when Alan said that he doesn't feel sorry about his mother. Craig won't be able to return. Well, at least not until he realized what he had done. Bottomless despair. It's like he was in the middle of the ice, making friends with other people just to create sorrow. They change their minds quickly. The people that trust him are still in his world. If so, he can't stop here. Later records that it was a very busy day because the demon general and the archbishop appeared in the royal capital, and the death of the first knight commander happened. However, the princess managed to bring the people together and didn't lead to confusion. The head of the family teamed up with the devil to rebel against the nation, and the kingdom of Westfield fell into great chaos. And once again, everyone's life was saved, but also, many were lost. There are many scars of sorrow left behind, but every day's life goes on. To appreciate his great contribution, Alan was granted the status of being the Duke of Westfield. However, he respectfully declined. He is already disinherited. To give not only the Duke status, but also the most important land of this country would be an outrageous act. The king already expected this to happen, so it was not a surprise for him. He then gave orders to call Reese. Alan was on his way out, and the girls were patiently waiting for him. Alan announced that he declined the king's offer. Noel asked if he's going to go back to that town. After all, it's convenient there and easy to collect information from surrounding villages. Alan replied that he won't know until the time comes. Noel commented that he's irresponsible as always. Alan then thanked the two for coming together. It helped him a lot. Noel said that it's nothing. She didn't do anything in particular. Alan then asked them not to tell Liz about this because he is certain that the girl is busy with various things right now. Liz then arrived, glad that they hadn't left yet. Alan was happy with the greetings, but he wasn't quite sure if she's allowed to be here. Liz knows that Alan and the others are going back to the town, so she wanted to come with him as well. Alan knows that she's already done with her duty, but Liz said that it's in order to return to her territory. So, a few changes were made in her name. She's now Reese Westfeld. Seems like Alan had a little spike in his blood pressure when he heard this. This only means that Reese took over the Westfeld territory. Even if she say so herself, she wasn't suitable to be a princess in the first place. There are many things that she must know. If she's not in this position, it will be difficult for her to move freely. Alan had no choice but to agree. Alan then remembered Beatrice. Reese said that Beatrice was originally a royal guard under the control of the royal family. Because she's no longer a member of the royal family, she has no idea at all. Alan asked if it's okay not to wait for Beatrice, and if it would be okay for her to go out alone. Reese said that several people from the royal capital are scheduled to come to the territory, but she thought of going a step ahead. Also, if she's with Alan, she will definitely be okay. Alan realized that in this world, there are still people who need him, even though he is not a hero, even if he's a failure. And from then on, they left the palace. Linkfist Duchy. This is located at the eastern edge of the empire, and is one of the most important points within it. This is because it faces borders with other countries, especially the kingdom of Adastella. The history of conflict between these two nations is long, and it's said that if not for the kingdom of Adastella, the empire's territory would be several times larger than it is now. Due to various reasons, they aren't engaging in direct warfare, but tension continues beneath the surface. The Duchy of Linkfist is at the forefront, and can be considered a pivotal point, and this is Henriette Linkfist, the first child of the Linkfist Duchy. Lady Henriette seems to be pissed with the little information she has on hand. She pointed out that even though they have an elite intelligence unit, they are surprisingly useless. However, she thought that asking for more details than what Henriette has actually actually seen might be a bit of an unreasonable request. Upon reading the next paper, her attention was drawn on the writings. He handed back the paper to Cyrus and told him to archive it properly. She knew that the one behind all those things was him. She remembered that he wanted only to live peacefully. That's also the reason why he got reincarnated. But these things are happening, and there's nothing she can do about it. It's quite a common story. The downfall of a hero who possessed too much power. After defeating the threat, what remained was the dead and rejection directed at them by the people. Those who fought and risked their lives never wished to be hated and persecuted by them. She can be seen crying buckets as she told him how sorry she was. She understood how selfish this argument was, but she said that they didn't make him a hero just so he could feel this way. He answered that there's no need for apologizing. It was his stubbornness that got him into this. Many lives were spared because of him, and now, she asked him for a wish. Alan opened his eyes, realizing that he had a very nostalgic dream again. The memories from his previous life. The former hero who wished for a peaceful afterlife on the brink of death, for they had yet to obtain the peaceful days they desired. Chapters end at 18. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you loved this manga. Have a good day.